Alright. I think that should be sorted. There we go. That's better. I do apologise. I have no idea how that setting got on. But anyway, it looks like at the moment... sorry, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 for round number 3 of Season 17 here in Spa. What a circuit this is. I do apologise. I don't know how that setting got itself on. For some reason my mic was muted and I couldn't figure out how to unmute it. So anyway, because anyway, I'm not going to waste time explaining the ins and outs of my microphone. Lawrence D going to provisional pole for now of 43.2. He does like this circuit, but and he has shown some good form recently, so it might not be all too surprising to see him all the way up there, but at the same time, that's still an impressive start for him. Triku Bidayak back onto form as well. Only a 10th down with Koru not far behind. Pepito right up there, the Tier 3 winner from yesterday. He's done well to get himself into P4. Sumo in 6th place at the moment, but it's Kevin with no racing line who gets himself to provisional pole for now. Alex G goes to P10 with Robsu coming through the last corner. What can the V-Carb driver from Finland do? He goes to P10. He really got to grips with his qualifying last week, where he secured a front row start and took the race win in the end. After his struggles the last few years in the one-lap pace. But today, struggling a little bit again, at least for now, for Robsu. I'm going to find someone to ride on board with for a lap. Let's say Denko. Let's have a look at Denko's lap. Here he goes then. The Greek driver, the only reserve today. We have a full grid and only one reserve. It's quite remarkable, the consistency of attendance for Tier 2. Thank you very much, guys. But Denko through turn 1. Nicely over the curve, maybe a little bit conservative on the exit, but now up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Nicely done from the Aston Martin driver. Hello, by the way, to Drogon, Denko and Daka in the chat. Hope to see you all. But Denko now down the Kemmel Straight towards Licom. Turn 7 is the first of them. Maybe a little wide in the apex and again of turn 8, but he won't be too unhappy with that, as he tries to get as much purchase on the circuit as he can through turn 9 and then 10. Really difficult corner. It's so easy to lock the rears or even the fronts. Just lock the tyres in general due to the camber. But Denko navigating through the first part of Sector 2. Is he flat through Puon? He tried to be, but he's ended up invalidating as in the process. Just couldn't quite get the car turned in. Tia lifts a tiny bit for Puon, nearly invalidates himself, but he's going through very nicely as he heads down now towards turn number 13 and 14. Cavalis has left the session, but he does have a quali ban, so I suppose he's gone to practice. Hopefully he comes back in time, because that would be a waste of a reserve if not. But Tia coming now into the final sector. Long straight through Blanchimont, where we might see a bit of side-by-side action with any luck in the race, and also with any luck without incident. But Tia now to the bus stop chicane, brakes just after the 100-metre board, gets it stopped, loses the rear slightly, very easy to do through turn 19, gets it round turn 20 and goes to P3. A very strong lap from Tia despite that mistake at bus stop. So Tia is definitely here to play today, as Nemesis is coming through himself in Sector 2, as is Enchilada Dad. He's season 15 Tier 2 champion. For his first run, I assume he invalidated his first effort, so it's probably his second run. Let's watch Aces as he comes to the final chicane now. He loves this track as well. He's got a very good record here, does Aces versus Kings. Let's see if that's reflected on the timing screens. It absolutely is. A 142.6 destroys everyone else's time at this stage. And Enchiladadad has got something to beat there. He comes through the final corner, loses the rear a bit. I don't think he's anywhere near Aces' time, and he's down in 9th place as the Irishman. What about Nemesis just behind in the Red Bull? One chicane to go for him as well. Nicely done through there from Nemesis, and this is looking pretty good in terms of the time. It's a 43.1, and he goes onto the front row, but still nowhere near that time from Aces. As Loki starts his lap, Randro coming through in the first sector as well. He was very strong in qualifying in round 1 in Texas, and he'll be hoping to continue that form, even if the race did not go to plan. I think it's fair to say for Randro in Kota. He had a horrible race. Well, I mean, it only lasted 2 laps. But hopefully he can last a little bit longer today on circuit, because it's always good to see newbies on circuit, especially newbies who can challenge towards the top, as we've seen from him. But it's Koru who challenges to the top at the moment, right to provisional pole for the Mercedes driver, as his teammate is heading through the latter part, the middle sector right now. As we ride on board, Rubialski currently going through the middle sector as well, but invalidates at Lecom. And he's going to have to try again. He still hasn't got a lap on the board, and because of how long this circuit is, if you don't get a lap on the board at this stage, you're starting really to run out of time. And Rubialski will be feeling the pressure of that, as Randro now comes to the final chicane, looking decent for the time, but goes deep. Big mistake there through turn 19, but this is looking very good in terms of time. Is it enough for pole? No, it's only 3rd place, but it's still very strong indeed from the Uruguayan driver. True Loki God. Nearly won yesterday in Tier 3, but ran out of fuel on the final lap, devastatingly. He goes to 13th, as that's the Red Bull of, I think that's Nemesis, is it? Spinning in the background, it must be, because Kevin's in the pit lane. And I'm not sure how on earth he's managed to find himself in that position, but he's managed to turn himself around and get back to the pits. But yeah, that was a bit of a weird one there for Nemesis. No idea how he managed that. Meanwhile, though, Robsu on a lap, 2.5 tenths up in the first sector. We'll come back to him in a moment. Denko currently in that middle sector, as well as Alex G. Who's that? Who's gone to P3? It's Scott M89 in the Aston Martin. He also really likes a race around Spa. He and Aces both have a very good record around the circuit in APPF1. They both finished, well, they were side by side into the final chicane for the race win. Last time we came here in Tier 2, and we know how that turned out, and at least anyone who watched does. Ended up in a collision, and Scott ended up dropping to P3 as a result of it, but Aces ended up winning that race after a long period of mediocrity for the Alpine driver, or the now Alpine driver I should say. So he'll be hoping to, well, repeat that story today, as he stands on the front row right now. Denko coming through into the last chicane. Looks like he's finally going to get a lap on the board, unless he invalidates here at turn 19 again. Easy to do, but he's got it stopped. He's got it round the corner, and he's heading down towards the checkered flag for a 1 minute 43.39. He goes to 11th place for now. 1 second. Just going to mute you 1 second. Apologies everyone, I'm back. My partner came home after a long day at work, so had to go and greet them. But anyway, everyone coming through at the moment. It doesn't look like many people are on laps right now, though. Certainly Denko isn't. Triku is, though. He's 2.5 tenths up in the first sector, so this could be quite good from the Kick Sauber driver from Czechia. Tier, meanwhile, has invalidated, so he's going to have to try again. Only 2.5 minutes left in the session. We're really in crunch time now, and it's Koru at the moment leading the way. What can Triku do in the middle sector? He can do a huge amount in that middle sector, nearly 7 tenths up, and this is going to be a challenge for provisional pole from Triku Bidayak. He comes to down through Blanchimont and towards the final chicane. If he can nail this, it will be provisional pole for Triku, but he's not got any ERS left to head down on the final run to the line, so that could end up costing him. Here he goes down the straight. What's it going to be? It's not quite enough. He loses a bit in that final sector, and it's a 42.6, but it does get him onto the front row for now, with many more laps to come in though. Aces 8 thousandths down in sector 1, practically matching his previous best. Can he find anything in sector 2? No, he's backed out. He's entirely backed out of the lap. So he's going to try again. Is the British driver. Let's see, Rubialski coming through. Still has not got a lap on the board. That was wide at Pouon as well. He was lucky not to invalidate there. He must have lifted just enough. But this isn't looking like the best lap from Rubialski, it has to be said. As the McLaren driver heads through the last part of sector 2 and into the final sector now. 1:16.0 through that middle sector, not particularly on par with the rest of the front runners, so Rubialski might find himself quite far down here. We've also got Kevin, the championship leader, who's been told to go with no racing line from now on after last week's and week 1's dominance. But Rubialski is actually completely backed out as well, so he's also going for a final run. It's very deep to get the best possible exit here, down towards the line to start his final run. Can he get something respectable on the board? Koru's invalidated already, so there's not going to be an improvement from the current provisional pole sitter. Triku's not improving either, but I don't know if he has enough time to get to the line, but it would be on worn tyres if he did. Aces in sector 1, he's got a good shot at it. Nemesis, Kevin as well, you can't count him out, although he is slightly down in the first sector. Let's see what he can do through this middle sector. Can he nail these tricky corners here? Right, then a left. Tough to get all the grip that you can through there, and a little bit deep there through Stavelo. He's a 10th up though on his previous best, so this is still looking decent from the Dutch driver as he heads down towards the final chicane. Can he get something on the board to get himself further up this session? He was a good sport about turning off his racing line, thankfully. But he's coming through now into the final chicane. It's looking very good from Kevin, I have to say, that last chicane. And across the line, it's a good time as well. Big improvement, goes into the top 5, but there's more laps to come. Randro matching his best in sector 1. Scott the same. Aces a 10th up though. Can he snatch pole position away from Koru at the last here? There's a Haas of True Loki God going to P3. What a lap from the tier 3 driver, or the tier 3/2 driver, as Aces now heads into the final chicane. What can he do? Can he challenge for provisional pole right at the end? No, he loses the rear on the exit of the final corner, and that is lap over for Aces. He stays 4th. Scott, though, through the middle sector. Randro as well, got to keep an eye on. He is slightly up, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. What can Lawrence do? It's a big improvement in sector 2. It's 3rd place for Lawrence. He matches Loki God's time, goes to 3rd place. What can Scott do? He's 2.5 tenths up. Can he take pole position away here? Randro will ride on board with him first as he comes through the final chicane. These are the last 2 drivers to set a lap. It's going to be Randro first across the line. What can the Mercedes driver do? It's P6, but it's Scott. All eyes on him, but he stays down, I think. I think he lost a ton of time. Yeah, he did. In the final sector, he'll be gutted with that. And he stays in 7th place. We've got a Denko fan in the chat, but it's Koru who manages to hold on to his pole position in the end, despite challenges from many drivers there in the last few minutes. But Triku lines up on the front row with him, a return to form for the Sauber driver after last week. Then it's Lawrence, True Loki God, Aces, Randro, Scott in P7, could have been so much more, Nemesis, Kevin, Popito 2, Sumo Gilligan, Tier, Robsu, Ench, Denko, JB, Hasty Beeline 2, the newbie, Rubialski down in 18th, Alex G in 19th, and Cavalis with some work to do after his qualifying ban. That's a closer session than the race I covered yesterday. Well, my race only had 12 drivers, Daka, but that was still pretty close. It was still a great race, as it usually is. Right, people are confused whether I'm streaming this in the Discord, even though I stream to the same channel every week. So let me just go ahead and post. Alright. Well, the skies look clear for now, but it is looking a little bit grey. You never know what could happen. But Koru was begging for rain before the race started, and he seemed very upset when he saw the weather. So I assume it's going to stay dry. And I'm sure we will find out. It's sure to be an epic race here in Spa, as it always is at this historic circuit. Who's your pick for the win in chat? Let me know, but here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Belgian Grand Prix in Tier 2. It's a good start from Koru from pole position. There's a lot of drivers changing position further back. Into turn 1 they go. Lawrence, oh my goodness me, braked so late at the Alpine driver. I don't know how he got away with that. There's a Haas in the wall. That's Loki God. I'm not sure what's happened to him. It was contact with an Alpine, but Pepito makes his way past. Oh, but it's contact through. Radion, unsurprisingly, going side by side through there. And Pepito manages to keep hold of it, thankfully for him, before going into the wall, but he'll still be disappointed with that as Triku and Lawrence go side by side. A lot of drivers side by side. There's a Haas going off. That's Loki God with his damage through turn 7 and 8. Randro finds his way through, and Scott trying to take an advantage as well of the Haas, but he's got to look behind him because Robsu sneaks past last week's race winner up to 7th place now. But Koru already a 1.1 second gap as Enchilada getting past Kevin for P11, the Red Bull driver, the championship leader, trying to fight it out with the season 15 champion, but he goes very deep at Puon. He's going to keep the position possibly, so I don't know how Encha's going to feel about that one, but Tier now looking to take advantage. He has to back out in the end, and Nemesis now is round. Oh, it's Nemesis and Scott again. I think they've come together again for the second week in a row, Nemesis and Scott. And there's going to be some hard feelings, I think, between those two after that, as Randro making another move around the outside of Lawrence in the Mercedes as he gets up to 4th place. But Koru already starting to run away with this race. Aces versus Kings trying to keep up with him, but he's just not got the pace at the moment. As we head on to lap 2 already after that breakneck first lap, let's have a look at some details. It's 6 positions gained for Robsu, an incredible start for the Finn. 6 gained for Rubialski as well, as Kevin making a move on Sumo into La Source, and he gets it done as well. Sumo has to back out of that one, but obviously disastrous starts for Popito and Nemesis in particular, as they both find themselves way down from where they started. Let's have a look at tyres. It's pretty much a 50-50 split. There's slightly more mediums than hards, but it's quite an even split between the drivers at this stage. I will say I prefer the idea of starting on the mediums on this circuit as Denko rejoins and hits Pepito as he comes back on circuit. That could have been very dangerous indeed, but they all get away with it. But Denko's gone into last place, so Gomogo in the chat has clearly cursed the Greek driver, so I'm sure Denko will be thankful for that. But no, Aces still losing time to Koru at this stage. Even though Koru's on the hard tyres, he's got some pretty electric pace at the moment on this circuit. Tier with the first track limits penalty. I'm sure it won't be the last, as we've still got a 19-car DRS train for P2 at the moment. The only driver not in DRS, although, well, I say that, Lawrence briefly drops out, but for a moment, the only driver not in DRS, in the DRS train, was Koru in the lead of the race. So that shows how close together everyone is today, as Nemesis is looking to make a move further back, but backs well out of it before the final chicane in the end. As Koru setting the fastest lap again at the front, but Ace is now starting to reel him in after those couple of corners. It was 4/10 he gained from the last time I checked, but Triku still sitting in the DRS of the Alpine driver for now, as Randro looks like he's got some very strong pace as well. Lawrence just sitting with them too in his Alpine, but is there damage to that Alpine actually? I didn't think he had a front right end plate, did he? Let's have a look as he comes through. No, he definitely doesn't. So damage to Lawrence. He's doing a stellar job with that context in mind, as Nemesis does look like he's going to make that move, as does Rubialski, or maybe it was Tier going for the move on the McLaren, and it didn't quite pay off into Lecon, but it paid off for Nemesis. He's back up to 17th position now, but a long way back up for the Red Bull driver who's already stood on the podium this season in race 1, of course, where it was a Red Bull 1-2, but last week he had an incident right at the very end, and it really cost him. I think it cost him points altogether in the end, as he's now looking for another move on Cavalis, this time in this kick Sauber, but he has to back out of that one just about, looking for the outside line through turn 12, or turn 13. It was always quite risky, I would say, for the Red Bull driver. Ace is now losing a bit of time again to Koru, but Triku and Randro sticking with him, as Lawrence is desperately trying to stay in the DRS, but that damage is going to make his life so difficult. And it's the pit lane. It's the pit lane, in fact, for Lawrence. It's an early stop, as we've got yellow flags further back. I'm not sure what that was for, because we were focusing on Lawrence in the pit lane, but I'd assume it's something to do with True Loki God, because he's now 2.2 seconds behind Randro. It might just have been because Lawrence pitted, but otherwise I'm not really sure what the yellow flags were for. So interesting stuff there, as Lawrence straps on a set of the hard tyres, unsurprisingly, and Randro nearly going into the back. Or is that Robsu nearly going the back of Scott there? Or the other way round, as Scott gets past, and he gets past again, and Robsu leaves the session. Oh no! Disaster for Robsu as his internet fails him. Hopefully we can get him back in. I wonder if I can just quickly send him another invite just in case. There he is. There we go. Sent one. So hopefully he can get back in as soon as possible. That's really going to put a dent in his race after his fantastic start that he had. And someone else who's going to have a dent in their race is Alex G, who's just lost a ton of positions, either due to going wide at turn 10, easy to do, or a little mini spin. I'm not sure, but either way, Kevin has gone round, and that might have been the cause of the yellow flag now that I think about it, because Kevin's down to 19th. I don't quite know how that happened, but he is struggling at the moment, as is Loki God with his damage to his front wing, but he's sticking it out there. He wants to commit to the one stop, as Lawrence decided enough was enough with his damage in contrast. And Enchilada now looking for the move. He wants the inside line, but Loki God's not going to show it to him, as Rubialski soars around the outside of both of them in a fantastic opportunistic move from the McLaren driver. Loki God tries to have the inside line, and Ench goes straight on. It's a horrible mistake from Enchilada, and he comes back on circuit and hits JB as well. And that is not Enchilada's finest hour there. It was 5 seconds of pure madness there from Enchiladad. and he drops all the way down to 15th. 14th as a result. No, because it's Papito who's gone round now in his McLaren. I'm not sure what's happened there. Did Ench hit him maybe? Did they hit each other somehow? Because they both look like they've got damage now. It's carnage already in Belgium here as Randro now gets himself into the top 3. And it's a Mercedes double podium as it stands with Triku now past Aces. I'm not quite sure when that happened. I wasn't... there was too much going on track when he overtook Aces, but it looks like Triku has the stronger race pace because those mediums might well be starting to die off already. As now Triku is starting to reel in Koru. 1.6 now is the gap. It was down from 2.3 just a lap ago. So Koru in some trouble here as Rubialski is challenging Loki for P7 but goes a little bit wide there. Through Puon. And this trickiest part of the track, well, not tricky, but just certainly twisty. There's a lot of corners around Sector 2, so you don't usually see many overtakes at this part of the circuit, but it's here where this track really comes alive in terms of the overtakes. It's the run down towards the bus stop chicane, and Rubialski wants to prove it again as he tries the same move he did a lap ago. Round the outside of Blanchimont, there's contact as the two go through. Rubialski will feel he left enough room. Loki God sends one to the inside. Rubialski leaves him the room, but there's contact as they go through. I think that was fair enough, but Rubialski probably won't be particularly happy with it as Tia now dives into the pit lane. Early stop for him as JB following along after that contact between Loki and Rubialski. Loki is defending his position like it's, well, like a lion, to put it one way. At the moment, with his front wing damage, I don't know how he's held on to this position for so long. Rubialski just cannot seem to get past. And down towards Lecom, turn 7 for the 6th time. This time Rubialski wants it, but Loki breaks so late. And this time Rubialski, with the superior grip, he gets his way through up to 7th place. And I don't think there's much Loki's going to be able to do about that. He's going to have to focus behind him now, as JB will be the next, hoping to take advantage of his damaged front wing. Nemesis with the track limits penalty. At the moment down in 11th place. He's on the mediums. So he will be going for the undercut strategy. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off as he comes through Sector 2. He did pay me to say that, by the way. Literally, I'm not even joking. As JB tries to go around the outside of True Loki God, but he can't quite get it done. And this time, though, down towards Blanchimont. He saw Rubialski do it on the previous lap, and he gets the move on the inside. And I don't think there's much Loki's going to be able to do about that unless he uses ERS and goes for his trademark dive bomb from this race into the bus stop chicane. But not this time. He's a little too far back to make that work, and he finally says enough is enough and peels into the pit lane as Randro now can't keep up with Triku. Triku can't keep up with Koru. So the top 3 have spread out quite a bit. And Ace is now fighting Randro for that 3rd place. Scott's not too far behind, and neither is Sumo. He's having a quietly good race in his Ferrari at the moment. Obviously, all these guys yet to stop, and the hard tyres will have to go longer. But Aces gets the move through down through turn 7, and it was done pretty much before the braking zone with the DRS. You'll see a lot of moves like that today. And Randro just going to have to live to fight another day for now, as Cavalis also finds his way past Hasty Beeline, the newbie in the Haas. Hopefully he can get himself some points today. The British driver signed up for Tier 2 a couple of weeks ago. There were no spots for him, but he's since LB has now dropped out of Tier 2 as a full-time driver, it left room for Hasty Beeline, and here he is. So best of luck to him on debut. And at the moment he is running in the points, so he's doing a fine enough job for now. Randro still stuck behind Aces, but these 3 now, as it becomes 3 drivers, because Scott has joined the party, just 3.5 tenths behind, and those hards are going to be very quick at this stage of the race. He's looking for a move on Randro down towards bus stop, I think. Look at this overspeed with the slipstream, but he's going to have to back out of that one. Randro goes a little bit late on the brakes, but gets it stopped well in time for the corner, so I think Scott maybe just playing it safe, braking a bit early there, and all of that could invite Sumo into the party as well, as Rubialski comes into the pit lane for a scheduled stop onto the hard tyres. Still early, I will say, still early to be going on the hards from here to get them to the end. I think they probably will go, but they won't be particularly happy in the last 3, 4, 5 laps. Where's he going to come out? He's going to be well behind Lawrence, so that just shows how much the undercut has given Lawrence. And actually, Rubialski's going for the 2-stop here. Randro repeats the move that Aces did on him on the previous lap, but Rubialski committing to a 2-stop strategy, and those others who pitted early might well be committing to the same thing, as Kevin now finds his way up to 12th place, the championship leader. I have to say, he said to me when I told him to turn off line for Tier 2, he said he's never done no racing line before, never, in playing F1. So honestly, he's had, what, one big mistake as Lawrence finds his way through Pepito at a uncharacteristic place on the circuit, but honestly, given it's his first race ever with no racing line, he's had one major mistake, if those yellow flags earlier were for what I think they were. He's got damage as well to his front wing, so maybe it was contact that made him have an incident, but he's doing a good job right now, and if he can get himself points, it's a good foundation to work on. And you know, you see people a lot of the time get discouraged when they turn off the racing line when they're not used to it. As Scott, talking of turning off the racing line, Scott down the inside of Aces versus Kings. These two have had plenty of battles at this circuit in the past, and Aces, though, not willing to have another one for now. He peels into the pits, and that's going to be hard tyres for the Alpine driver. It's going to be a clear track for Randro as a result, with Scott just about out of DRS range after La Source. Oh, a little snap from Sumo in the background there. I don't know if Scott got DRS there. I think he just about did, but it was very close, as Ace is going to exit the pit lane behind his teammate by the looks of things as Lawrence heads into turn 1. Where is Aces on the right hand side of your screen? There he is. They're going to be side by side down towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and Lawrence finds his way past. Aces backs out sensibly. I was thinking surely the two Alpines are not going to go side by side up Radion, but they don't indeed, and Lawrence is the lead Alpine at the moment. But Aces has the DRS, and he sails past down towards turn 7. So up to 10th place he goes. Rubialski past Ench for 14th right now with his 2-stop strategy. And Tier is next on his list with his hard tyres that he's strapped on 3 laps ago. And his teammate Pepito not far ahead either. Towards the front, Scott just sticking with Randro for now, who's 3.6 behind Triku, 1.8 behind Koru for the Czech driver. Both of them doing decently for ERS, but Triku a little better. He's just biding his time at the moment. He knows he's got some decent pace here, as Tier and Rubialski and Pepito having one heck of a battle here in Sector 2. Rubialski down the inside of turn 13. I don't know how he's managed that, but Tier is going to have to concede that one, and Rubialski up to P12. Pepito lost 2 positions there in Sector 2, which is quite remarkable. But Randro into the pits, meanwhile, from the front, from towards the front, from his medium tyres, and Cavalis probably not far behind. No, he stays out another lap, does the Sauber driver. So he's going to go a little bit longer on those mediums as Randro. Where is he going to exit the pit lane? Where's Aces? That's the big question. He's coming down towards turn 1 now, but if we look at Randro's perspective, I think he's going to be well ahead of the Alpine driver. So Aces, this undercut has not worked for him. He's not even got the DRS, has he? Oh, he used plenty of battery to get back in range there. So Aces is keeping up with the Mercedes driver, and but Randro has done well to combat that 1-lap undercut from the British driver. And here comes the DRS for Aces. He's looking to the inside. He's going for the move. I don't think he particularly had that in mind at the start of the Kemmel Straight, but by the end he thought, I've got the speed to do it, I might as well. And through he went. Nemesis, meanwhile, the other, or one of the Red Bulls, getting past Robsu for 14th place. It's a bit tough to tell at the moment where everyone is in terms of the pit stops, because there's all sorts of different strategies going on. I mean, Hasty Beeline's put on the softs. He's going to regret that in about 1 minute's time. But Pepito's put on the mediums, never ever getting to the end on those. Enchilada, meanwhile, putting on the hards, but he's a long way back. So it's really difficult to see the state of the race right now. As you can see, everyone from 9th downwards has made a pit stop. So the top 8 still yet to pit in this race, and that includes all the guys who started on the hard tyres. But it also includes Cavalis, who's still sticking out on those mediums. He's got to pit this lap. There's no way he goes out another lap on these with how powerful the undercut is. And he does indeed come in, does the Lithuanian. And after his quali ban that he's served today, after last week getting in a bit of trouble with the stewards, he's had a decent race so far. And in the background, it looked like someone was side by side there, but I think it was just a bit of an illusion. As Randro and Aces still locked together, so they've done a very good job in the pits, have those two drivers. And the battle for the podium remains well and truly on. Those medium tyres that these top 7 are going to strap onto their cars are going to be very strong in the second stint, but they lose so much time to the undercut that it's really difficult to say whether it's worth it. And they've got to make so many overtakes as well, so I think they're in a tricky spot here, the top 7, as it stands. And Aces and Randro, they're far from out of the race for this race victory. I actually think Aces is in the net lead right now for almost certain, with Randro in a net P2. I think Lawrence is even in a net P3, but will he go to the end on those hards? Who knows, as Aces now looking for a move on the Red Bull of Kevin with the damage and a little bit of wheel bang as they go through. Randro tries to follow him, but he can't quite do it, and that could be crucial. There's a car now between these two rivals on track today. Randro's got to clear this Red Bull as soon as he can. Surely he's got to get him down towards the bus stop chicane. He will feel that sense of urgency. He's using the battery, but he hasn't got a lot left. Kevin has still got a lot more than the Mercedes driver, but Randro's got the slipstream crucially. He's going to have the braking performance and the grip as well. Is he going to the outside? Yes, he is. He brakes late to the outside. It'll be the inside line for turn 20, and that is a beautifully executed overtake from Randro in the Mercedes. He is up to 8th place, and Kevin down to 9th on those hard tyres, still doing a very good job with his first no-line race. It'll come, Kevin. If you're watching this, it will come. Your pace will come back, trust me. After a while, you will start getting back towards the front again. And honestly, your qualifying was still excellent today, so keep at it, Kevin. You're doing great. But Rubialski, meanwhile, trying to get in range of Lawrence. Does he have the DRS? He does indeed, so he is charging down this Alpine on his fresh medium tyres. Hasty Beeline making some progress on his softs as well, but they are going to be absolutely shot within a couple of laps' time. And he will have to pit again, but I assume it will be the mediums for him to the end from this point. At least in a lap's time, I would have thought. Interesting stuff up and down the grid. Very interesting strategies. And talking of interesting, look what's happened here. Triku out of nowhere, within 1 second of Koru. Just about, but Koru senses the danger. He's using some of his battery up through Blanchimont, but Triku well and truly in the mix here for the race lead at the moment. Are either of them going to come into the pits? Not this time. They're staying out for another lap. Triku a little bit wide through turn 19. Not going to help his cause. It's so close between the DRS's. Aces gets his way through Denko. Another car that they've got to clear, these two, Aces and Randro. They're fighting for the net lead. There's contact. Randro into the side of Denko. And Denko off circuit. Randro peels into the pit lane, but he will be very disappointed with that because he was definitely in the hunt for the race win today. Sumo comes in for the mediums. Randro's retired in the pit lane just like he did in Kota. As soon as one thing went wrong, just instantly retired in the pit lane. So Randro has at the moment the tenacity of a damp sponge by the looks of it, but hopefully he can overcome that in future races. Sumo, though, exits the pit lane just behind Tia. He will get this overtake done. Down towards Lecom. It's going to be a pretty simple move for Sumo. And he's on those medium tyres. Rubialski further up, getting past Lawrence, finally, in his McLaren. But you know what? You know what? Sumo is not that far behind Aces, and he's going to have much better tyres for the vast majority of this race. He does have a time penalty. That's the problem, though, for Sumo. That 3-second penalty is going to be an issue if he does want to win this race, but it's honestly not out of the realm of possibility at all. But if he's only exited that far behind, then it's got to mean Triku and Koru can't be that far behind when they come out the pits either. Aces at the moment is, let's see, he is 16 seconds behind the race leaders. So where will they exit the pits as Koru peels in? He's decided the time has come. He wants to get on those mediums early. He doesn't want to get undercut too badly. Scott follows him in. Triku stays out. I think he's going to regret this, you know. I think he's going to be well down on Koru when he comes out the pit lane. Aces, here we go. Down towards La Source he goes. How far ahead is he going to be? That is the question. He's got JB peeling into the pits as well, just behind him. So Aces will take the race lead, but it's not going to be by a lot here. Through turn 1, and Koru is right behind him. So Aces actually hasn't gained nearly as much as I thought he would with the undercut. Scott's exited in 5th place, just between Rubialski and Sumo, which is going to frustrate the Ferrari driver as they head up the hill towards the Kennel Straight. And Scott will get this move done on Rubialski. Sumo will look to follow him. Look at that overspeed. There's nothing the McLaren driver can do, and he just stays on the racing line and lets them go sensibly, I think. 5 laps older medium tyres. That's quite the slog here in Spa. 5 laps around here. Might as well be 8 laps on another circuit. So tough for Rubialski there, but not much he can do. As Loki now with a time penalty further down the grid, but Koru now chasing after Aces, just 7/10 behind, and he has the race win in his sights here. Hello to Waffcake in the chat, good to see you. You join us in a very interesting race, a fascinating strategic race, where Koru here, well, he's Temp 1605, but his name's Koru. If you're ever confused by why I call him Koru, he is Koru. But Triku comes into the pit lane, unsurprisingly, but you've got to think it's a bit too late. He's going to exit. I think he might even exit behind Scott. Such is the advantage of these medium tyres, or these fresh medium tyres, I should say. Triku now into his box as Aces comes down towards La Source, as does Koru. Where is the Sauber driver? He's just exited the pits now, so he's going to be well behind Koru. I think he'll be ahead of Scott. Yes, he will. Scott coming through turn 1 now. And there's the Sauber driver well in front, so he's nowhere near in the end. But Triku has lost 2.5 seconds here to the undercut. And that is going to be a huge margin to overcome, especially with Koru having a DRS here on Aces. He's going to want to get this move done. He doesn't have a lot of ERS left, but Aces not interested in fighting. No, he does. Try and hold it around the outside, but there's too much grip to that Mercedes. Aces has plenty of ERS left. He could have fought that if he wanted to, but I don't think he was particularly interested. He just wants to secure this podium, but at this rate, he is going to struggle keeping Scott behind. He's still got 7.5 laps left to go in this race. That is an eternity here at Spa. So a lot of work to do here for Aces, and I would not be surprised at all to see him drop off the podium here. Cavalis, meanwhile, what a race he's having. The Lithuanian, absolutely a redemption race for him, as he gets... he's up to P8 at the moment. He's on the hard tyres, and they will go to the end. They're only 4 laps old. They're even younger than Aces' hard tyres. He's got JB behind him, but at the moment I think he's well on course for at least P9 in this race. So he's doing a fantastic job from last place on the grid after his qualifying ban from last week. Or that he was given for his steward's room antics last week. He has had a great redemption race today. Koru now with the fastest lap. It was a very important move for him, says Daka in the chat. He's now up to the lead of the race. He's well ahead of Triku. He's well ahead of Aces. And I think it's Koru's race to lose now unless we get some late drama with a safety car or something along those lines. Because Triku is just too far back. We've seen Triku in the past pull out some wonderful performances as an underdog for a race win. We saw it with Extrek in Jeddah, I think it was last season or 2 seasons ago in Tier 2, where he was well down after the pit stops, and because of the reputation of Extrek and how he'd looked in the first stint, we all thought, oh well, it's game over, Extrek's race to lose. But Triku slowly, quietly reeled him in and got himself within a shot. He lost out in the end thanks to a safety car, unfortunately for him. But today, I think 3.5 seconds is going to be a bit too much even for Triku to close down. But he'll still be very happy with P2, especially after his complete disaster that he had last week. This is definitely looking to be justice for Triku today, as Lawrence now gets a penalty. He was looking so good earlier this race, and now he's down to 11th place. He is on the hard tyres, but even so, he finds himself behind Loki with a track limits penalty too. Denko's in the mix after his contact with Randro. He nearly bins it though through Stavolo, and Rubialski sent into the gravel there. I don't know if that was avoiding action or just confusion as to where Denko was going to go after his little moment. Lawrence can't find a way past Loki God, and Denko has to take avoiding action as well. Lawrence going for the inside of bus stop, but we've seen how late Loki can break into this corner earlier this race, and he does it again. But Lawrence trying to get the up and over, but he can't do it. And now Denko is back on the move. He gets a much better exit out the final corner than Lawrence, and he gets by. Championship leader Kevin's looking in the mix as well, but we've got to cut to the front. Triku gets the move done, no drama there, and now Scott is right behind Aces for P3, and I think Aces is surely going to drop off the podium here. Denko going for a move down towards Radion. Oruj and Radion, it's a beautiful move from Denko. He's got the DRS down the straight as well. Loki's going to struggle to hold this off. He's got a barrage of cars behind him, all wanting the place. Denko around the outside of Lawrence, a bit of wheel banging between the cars behind. Rubialski going deep, Loki into the wall, and his defense comes to an end dramatically as he had contact with Rubialski there. I think he's down to 14th place, but Rubialski now looking for a move on Lawrence. Can he find any way past this Alpine? Look at this, he's going for an Impuon. He looks to the inside, incredibly brave from Rubialski, but he backs out of it. Lawrence goes deep in anticipation of that daredevil move from the McLaren. But if it doesn't quite end up working out for Rubialski, but goodness me, was it brave, as Tia gets his way past Loki God as well, who is definitely going to be struggling in with those tyres. Kevin and Rubialski and Lawrence just behind Denko at the moment. This battle continues to rage on, but we've got to cut to the front because Scott right behind Aces for this podium place. Aces with a track limits penalty as well. I think his opportunity at a podium is gone today. It's looked like the hard medium has been the better strategy for Tier 2 today. It wasn't in PSGL yesterday. I'll give you that one for free. It was definitely medium hard yesterday, but today in Tier 2 with the different pace of this division compared to obviously PSGL F2, it looks like the hard medium is the strategy to be on, and the top 3 all on that strategy right now, and Sumo is looking to get himself into the top 4. He has had a fantastic race so far. He has come from 11th on the grid to 5th, and only Cavalis really has been has gained more positions in this race, and he might be about to gain another. Look at this, he's gaining on Robsu. 2 laps younger hard tyres. Nemesis isn't that far up the road either with a 3-second penalty. Maybe Cavalis can get himself in the top 6 here from last on the grid. What a performance this would be if he can manage it. Aces is just behind Scott. Can he keep in the DRS? Maybe. Those medium tyres won't last forever. We saw that already in the first stint. It will be easier to drive on them with lower fuel, of course. But nonetheless, those tyres are going to get more and more difficult to drive on as Tier and Kevin swap places. Not sure how that happened on the run to Blanchimont, but it has. And Kevin, wow, he's got severe damage to his Red Bull, so I'm not entirely sure where he picked that up. But that's really unfortunate for Kevin. He's heading into the pit lane for a new front wing, but I think he's going to be out the points today. But like I said, he should be happy with how he raced today. It was a very good start for him. For a first race with no line, he's done an excellent job today. So keep at it, Kevin, is what I would say. As Koru now 3 seconds ahead of Triku. The gap has stayed relatively stable ever since Triku got himself past Aces, but a stable gap is not what Triku needs right now if he wants to win this race. Cavalis though right behind Robsu, putting the V-Carb under heavy pressure, but he's got to look behind him as well. JB in the mix with his 5-lap-old medium tyres. Cavalis, he's got to be patient here and wait for the right move, but he's also got to be careful of the Williams driver, as Alex and Popito having a bit of a battle of their own further back for 16th place. Enchiladas down to 15th, by the way. How on earth did this happen? Was there an incident? Did he lose the car? I think it's been a pretty weird race to keep track of, I have to say. There's been a lot of drivers that I look at the standings and I'm like, how are you here? How did you get here? Which is my job as a commentator to look at these things, but I've seemed to have lost track of a few drivers today, so I do apologise. Not sure what's happened to Enchilada here in Belgium, but he's down in 15th, is the season 15 champion. That's Rubialski looking for a move on Lawrence. He's got 1 lap younger hard tyres, but he seems to have more pace than the Alpine driver. And again, Lawrence finds himself down in 11th. I think it's just been the wrong strategy possibly for Lawrence. He did pit very early, and I think, if I remember rightly, he's had a 2-stop this race. So it does make sense how he's this far back after such a strong start. But nonetheless, I think a lot of drivers will be really disappointed with how today's race has gone for them. Cavalis and Robsu side by side through turns 7 and 8. They're still side by side as they go through. A bit of wheel banging, but nothing to write home about there. Cavalis is through to P7. A wonderful race so far for the Lithuanian driver. And Robsu doesn't look like he has the pace to keep up. JB's got to clear this V-Carb as well if he wants to have a chance at 7th place. Cavalis is 6 seconds behind Nemesis, so I don't think, unless Nemesis has 6, no he doesn't, he has 3. So unless he can catch up 3 seconds in the next 2.5 laps, he is going to get P7 in this one, but that's still an incredible recovery from Cavalis, as Robsu defending from JB now, and this will be a nice breather for Cavalis as well, having JB stuck behind Robsu for another sector. Is there going to be a move made from JB into the bus stop chicane? No, he's not that desperate. He's going to keep it for the run down the Kemmel Straight, but he's going to lose time as a result of that. He's definitely going to be a lot slower through the bus stop chicane while having to stay behind Robsu. You can see a mistake from Robsu there, and JB will be feeling the dirty air as well down towards La Source. Another mistake from Robsu. Yeah, he goes deep, and JB just has to stay behind, and he loses the rear as well. So a lot of time lost for JB, stuck behind Robsu here, and it's exactly what Cavalis needed. Rubialski sticking behind Lawrence. Sumo, by the way, has a 6-second penalty. So even if he does clear Aces here, he would need to gap him by 3 seconds in order to take that 4th place away from him, as JB does clear Robsu down the Kemmel Straight as he planned to. So he's up to 8th place now, and 1.5 seconds is the gap to Cavalis. Can he get one more position on those medium tyres? Triku is gaining quite a bit on Koru the last couple laps, but it's too little too late, you have to think, unless one of them runs out of fuel. We saw that drama yesterday with True Loki God. So we might see it again today, possibly. But Triku, at the moment, that is basically what he has to pray for if he wants a chance at winning this race, because he's just a bit too far behind, I think, to really reel in the race leader with just 1.5, well, one and a bit now laps to go. Rubialski still stuck behind Lawrence, but of course the time penalty for Lawrence is going to drop him behind anyway. Tier battling with Denko as well for 12th place. Hasty Beeline looks like he is going to pick up 1 or 2 points from his debut race here in APPF1. He does have front wing damage, unfortunately, so it's going to be tough for him to defend from Enchilada Dad here. And the Irishman will be looking for a little bit of consolation with an extra point gained at the end. Sumo now is going to have the DRS on Aces on this final lap for position number 4. Triku's now within 2 seconds of Koru, who I think is taking it steady on this last lap. He doesn't want to muck up his first race victory back at APPF1. And Sumo just a bit too far behind to make a move. He knows he's got more penalties as well, so he doesn't want to cause a calamity here. He's looking to the inside, but down to turn 10. He's just going to stick behind, and I think, why would you go for a move here if you were Sumo? So it's totally fair enough to see what he's doing. Tier and Denko, though, going for moves on each other. Tier around the outside of turn 8, and he gets that done. Enchilada with the DRS gets past Hasty Beeline as well, but a mistake from Tier, I think, allows Denko back through towards turn 10. And are the penalties the same? No, Tier has 6 seconds anyway, so Denko would finish ahead regardless. But the gap has come down on this lap even more between Koru and Triku, but it's too little too late. Will Triku regret pitting 1 lap later? I think he absolutely will. But either way, Koru comes through the final corner, and for the first time since his return to APPF1, Koru wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Triku finishes in 2nd place for a very good podium. Scott with a very strong P3. Aces with a penalty for track limits on the final lap is going to lose P4 here, and he's even going to lose P5 because Nemesis is just behind. Cavalis is too far behind to make any sort of progress due to the penalties. He stays in 7th, but still a fantastic drive from Cavalis there after his quali ban. JB in P8, Robsu has to settle for 9th. Rubialski does get Lawrence on penalties. Denko finishes ahead of Tier on track, and Enchilada is just about going to beat out Hasty Beeline here for 14th position, and the newbie will take the final point on offer. Popito and Alex will continue their battle all the way to the line, but I think Popito is going to win out here. It may not be for points, but it is absolutely for pride, and Popito does secure P16, and well done to Alex for finishing that race. I hope they both had a great battle at the back there. It sure looked like they did, so well done to them both for finishing despite being out the points. And that is going to be that. Don't forget, we will have interviews with the top 3 shortly. So don't go away. Although I won't be able to interview Koru. Oh no, I will. He's on PlayStation. I don't know why I thought he was on PC, but there we go. There is your final race results. It's Koru who wins the Belgian Grand Prix with Triku in P2. A great race from him, and Scott as well, rounding out the podium. Sumo comes home in 4th place with Nemesis just behind. A good strong race from him after his incident early in the race. Aces finishes in 6th after his extra penalty. Cavalis, what a drive from him. I think he's my driver of the day day today. Cavalis in P7 with JB in 8th, Robsu P9, then it's Rubialski rounding up the top 10. Lawrence, Denko, Tia, Ench and Hasty Beeline, the last of the point scorers. Popito and Alex have a great battle of their own to the line, but unfortunately no points for it, as Kevin, Loki and Randro unable to finish. So we will have interviews with the top 3 in just a second. So do not go away. So we will be hearing from at least one of our top 3. Koru said he's going to be joining. There's our P3 finisher. Just waiting to see if Koru and Triku will join us. Give them another minute and then we'll get on with it.
It was just me and you last time, weren't it, Ghost?
It was, wasn't it, Scott? Yeah.
Scaring everyone away.
We do have Triku, or Koru rather. So just waiting to see if Triku will join us. He is typing, so we'll see. Triku can't join us for interviews, sadly. Which is a shame. I was interested to ask him a few things. But we will get started then with Koru, our race winner. Make sure you've got your party settings correct, Koru. Just, I think it's voice chat settings, then share your voice on allow if it's not already. But welcome back to the top step of the podium. It's been quite some time since we've said that here in APP, Koru on the top step, but congratulations. How was the race for you? Pole to win.
I mean, I didn't expect to be that fast, to be fair. I thought, you know, like Kevin and Sumo and people like that would be up there with me, but I don't know, I just qualified on pole and just went. I think everyone ran with like really low downforce settings, and there was an instant at the first corner where they went 3 wide, and they dropped out my DRS, and I just went from there, and they never got back in my DRS. So I felt a bit like a bit like a scam win, really, because I didn't battle anyone, but it was just an easy drive. It was great. It was enjoyable. I had fun. So yeah, I didn't expect to win, but I did. So there you go.
It was a stellar drive today from obviously pole position. Makes it a little easier, but it was still a great start, and like you said, took advantage of the cars behind. But you didn't have it all your own way across the whole race, because Triku was right with you at one point. But then, did you decide to pit that lap because he had gotten right behind you, or was that always the lap you were going to pit?
Well, I had the classic controller tyre where my hards were 84%, so I could never do another lap. I could never do another lap, so I had to go. But I mean, it was sort of, I knew I'd get like a ridiculous undercut anyway, because the tyre wear was that bad. So I mean, I don't know. I think it was a bad decision from him not to pit with me, because it would have made a battle and he wouldn't have been so far off. But then I knew as soon as I come out of the box, I had to get past Aces straight away. I couldn't get held up by him, so I made quite a nice move. And then just, yeah, the undercut, I think he came out like, what, 3.8 seconds behind me, which just shows how bad the tyres were. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't an intentional undercut, but I'll take it, I guess.
Well, I mean, it was a fantastic race from you, well managed from start to finish. I think I just want your opinion on the strategy, really, because yesterday I was commentating PSGL, and the hard to medium strategy was by far the superior, or the medium to hard one was by far the superior strat. But it seemed today that hard to medium was the superior strategy. Do you think that's because here, we're not PSGL drivers here. I don't expect all of you to be, but do you think that's because of the extra tyre wear that we might have as lesser drivers, or do you think it's because the extra pace from the mediums counts for more in Tier 2 here?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure, but I did a few practice runs of Belgium 50%, and I knew I was going to be running higher downforce than everyone else. I was running 10-0 wings, and obviously everyone was running like 0-0 whatever, because I was losing like 4 attempts in the straight. But basically my idea was I wanted to start on the hards and go as long as physically possible, just to stay out as longer than everyone else, so that I didn't get caught in traffic with the undercut, because I knew overtaking would be really hard with high downforce. So my plan was just to outstay everyone, because I knew I'd have less tyre wear with the higher wings. And like I said, I didn't want to get stuck in traffic. So for me, it was just a plan of stay as long as I physically could, and that was lap 13. So there wasn't really any I didn't do any comparison runs between medium, hard, medium. I just thought I'm going to go for high downforce because that's where my strongest pace is, and for that I need to stay out as long as possible. So that's what I did.
Well, it certainly worked out. Last question, really. When the gap was coming down in the last few laps between you and Triku, was that a genuine struggle for pace, or were you taking it easy, just bringing the car home?
It was a bit of both, because obviously he pitted a lap after me, so when he come out the pit, my tyres were 7%, so we had a 7% advantage on me. And I'm not sure whether he's controller on wheel or whatever, but my tyre wear is naturally going to be worse because I'm on controller, and I basically knew that to hold on to the 3 seconds, I needed Aces to play a bit of a part, and he did. He gave me like a second by battling. So that was nice, but he was definitely catching me towards the end. There was no doubt about it. If there was another 3-4 laps, he would have got me. So the line definitely saved me, I think. But no, yeah.
Well, congratulations either way. It's good to see you back in APP and thriving here in Belgium. So good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And I'll move on to Scott next up, our third place finisher. It's good to speak to you again, mate, and it's here again in Belgium. Obviously, last time we came here, it was a bit of drama at the end, but no such drama today.
I think the last time we were in with Brazil, the drama at the end in Belgium was when I span it on the final corner.
Yeah.
Battling Aces, weren't it? Then,
yeah.
That was in my mind a lot.
So, yeah, that's what I meant by here, as in the track, not the interview.
But yeah, I didn't want to do that again. But no, it's good fun. I enjoy this track.
Yeah,
it's just flowing, and I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's something that I seem to I'm compatible with a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you seem a lot more comfortable with this track than a lot of other circuits. You have a very good record here as well. So naturally, we were focusing a lot on you and Aces today as possible bounce back drives, and you both proved it. I mean, Aces obviously dropped with his penalties in the end to 5th or 6th, but he can still be pleased with his performance. You enjoy that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Is he not in the interview? Oh no, he's not. Is he? He's not on the podium.
He's not. You'll have to laugh at him in Discord instead.
I'm sure he'll hear this. He'll listen to this back, and about 3 days later, I'll get a DM off him. What usually happens.
Well, it looked like you had a fairly drama-free race for much of it. Obviously, there was a lot of battling at the start, but once that period started cooling off, you seemed like a bit in no man's land in the second stint. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah. The first lap was, I wouldn't say it was carnage, but people were, there's a bit of wheel banging here and there. I think I came up behind, I don't know who, it might have been Robsu, and there was like a red cross above his car, and I was like, oh no, where is he? I was gaining a lot of speed as well, so I just kept the foot down, because I knew if I lifted I would have lost about 4 positions, so
Yeah.
I just went for it. Thankfully his car didn't transform anywhere. I think the other one, Nemesis, I think he had a go in Sector 2 early on, which caught me off guard a bit, I'm not going to lie.
That's what happened.
Yeah, he caught. Yeah, it was. I don't know, it was lap 1, lap 2. It was really early on, but he was having to go down Sector 2, and I thought I'm just going to harvest everything through Sector 2, and then I just saw a red arrow. I thought, oh shoot, who's this? But yeah, once I got past that initial kind of that phase of the Grand Prix, that first bit, I was kind of looking ahead, and you know, the top 2, and I dispatched of Aces quite easily. I'm not going to lie, but around the outside of Blanchimont, that was good. And then he pitted, so I knew he was going to undercut me. But yeah, I was just looking at the top 2 and thinking, oh, am I going to catch him? But I said to Tricky in chat afterwards, I said, we could have done another 10 laps, and I don't think I would have caught him. It was just that gap was just maintaining. It was between 2 and 3 seconds for ages, and
Yeah.
I just weren't getting it. I was just happy to see the finish line in the end, to be honest, because I knew we weren't going to progress anymore.
Yeah,
And then Aces I think Aces blocked. Oh, he didn't block it, but Sumo was on my gearbox, putting me under a bit of pressure, and I was on 2 warnings. And I thought, if I get a warning, if I get a penalty here, and then Sumo, his eyes will light up. So yeah, Aces for me, as well as Koru, he played a bit of a blinder for me as well, just taking the pressure off a bit. So.
Yeah, I think it was the top 3 of you definitely had very similar raw pace, I think, but you just found yourselves in different points on track, so it was not really destined for a battle.
I could have pushed a bit more, and I thought it was, yeah. I mean, with the tire, when the tyre wear were kicking in, and I just thought I didn't really want to. I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah,
it's hard to push in a 1-stop. I don't think you would have made it if you pushed. It's so.
You're right, yeah. And I was just chilling, like Sumo said afterwards as well. Like I caught him out because I braked a bit early into the stop. I was braking about 110, 120, and then just coasting round really, just to keep the tyres kind of reasonable. And it caught him out, which obviously I apologise for, but not my fault.
Well, it was a very interesting strategic race, I think it's fair to say, and it's given me some good pointers for Friday, so thanks for that, guys.
I was surprised that Koru and Triku both did it. I was convinced no one else was going to do the 1-stop. I don't know how them two felt, but I thought surely no one else is going to try this. And Koru on a controller as well, I was very surprised that he tried it. But
that was the only way to get top 3. You're not getting top 3 on a 2-stop, you'd be miles back.
Yeah, well that's what I did in AI. I did a race against AI, and I tried a 1-stop, and I beat 110. I beat about 20 odd seconds. I thought this is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're slow, but even for me, that was a lot.
Yeah, indeed. Well, congratulations, Scott. Another podium for you, and hopefully this kickstarts your season into gear.
Well, hopefully. I think we've said this every time I've been here, but it never really does it?
This time, this will be our year, Scott.
Yeah, this will be the one.
This will be the one.
Cheers,
You're not driving a Ferrari, so you might be all right. All right. Well, thank you both very much. Good to speak to you, and congratulations on your podium finishes. I am going to wrap up this stream here, so thank you all ever so much for watching. It's been good fun. We will be heading next week to Singapore. What a circuit that is. So we will see you there for more Tier 2 action. But for now, thank you all very much and have a great rest of your week. Goodbye.
Oh yeah, good luck with Singapore on a controller.